So, folks, we are here once again, and I just have to say I don't know how this is all gonna go down. Is it gonna be okay? Will anything be fixed? Are we going to be able to survive this entire ordeal together? I hope so. I think maybe we could. It's possible that all of us will get out the other side of this alive. But some of us might get lost along the way. We might fall off the path, as it were. And I need to find a specific item here on my in my emotes. For the bit to land. Well, guess we'll just have to pull this out. Nah, fuck it. Whatever. We don't need props. We don't need them. Props are for the weak and people who have prepared their comedy better. I have a lot of other props, though. I could throw a tinfoil hat. Wait. Brilliant. No, it has a white background. No, I didn't remove the background. Oh dear. Okay. Looks like we're in a bit of a pickle here. All right. It's time for us to set sail, folks. On the good ship, What If Alt Hist. It's time. It's time. Get out your crack pipes, everybody. We're gonna learn what's wrong with the left. Man the masts. Eyes out for icebergs. Let's go!
We are currently in a historic moment. Few have realized this, but history is actively being carved out now. I decided to stop everything and write this video since I realized people needed an on-the-ground assessment of what's going on, since we currently exist in a moment of chaos in which no one really knows what's happening, and those who know a little tend to be propagandists. Since the Trump victory in the last election, there's been this great question. What is the left going to do about this? The great irony is that the left itself doesn't seem to have an answer to that question. This is very important, since even though they are in mental disorder, the left is still the overwhelming ruling class of the Western world. The left runs the imperial bureaucracy, the United Nations, the European Union, the Catholic...
I'm sorry, this video came out 1 month ago. With Donald Trump in office and Donald Trump stooges in all majorities in both houses of Congress. All right, cool.
Catholic Church, major corporations, tech, the media, the educational system, academia, Hollywood, and any other institution you could throw a dart at. Without the
yeah, except the most powerful ones in the government. Except for those. Wait, did he? I did not hear him call the Catholic Church a leftist.
Accurate imperial bureau is still the United Nations, the European Union, the Catholic Church, major corporations.
Oh my God, he did say the Catholic Church. I'm sorry. You know what? Okay, I'm in the right headspace for this.
Tech, the media, the educational system, academia, Hollywood, and any other institution you could throw a dart at. Without the left, there's basically nothing left in the Western world, since the right is incapable.
Kids, Riverboat Jack loves the smooth, cool taste of crack rock. Do you need to get the energy to get through your day, but hate the twitch of energy drinks?
No!
Riverboat Jack recommends crack.
Kids, don't do crack. It'll fuck you up. Nailed it. Anyway, what were we talking about again? I can't remember.
I am the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Paladin, thank you for the $5 dono. Thank you for supporting stream.
capable of creating its own institutions as of now. This is a video to look at what's going on with the left right now.
Yeah, what is going on with the left? What's the left's deal?
This video is my best attempt to do it, since I do not have the ability to look into the minds of the left's leadership to see where they're at.
Wait, you don't? Wait. I feel lied to.
The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
I feel lied to. I feel like Gandalf would be able to peer into the minds of leftists. God damn it.
I am going to be looking at the media, messaging, and implicit assumptions behind the left today to figure out their next move.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. What is our next move? You know, we're trying to figure that out. What if alt-hist always 10 steps ahead of us, walking on sunshine?
No matter what they do, they will be determining history from now on.
I'm sorry, has this always been the has this always been the intro to What If Alt-hist videos? I don't remember the butt rock. I just remember the crack rock. It has? Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I spent a lot of time on...
How? That was somehow cringier than like the John Doyle intro where he kisses his sister.
...line studying for this video, watching videos and articles, and if you're
I spent a lot of time preparing for this video too.
anything like me, you also spend a lot of time online. One thing that's been super helpful for me, and I know will help you as well, is Surfshark.
Fuck. Oh god.
The sponsor of today's video. Surfshark is a VPN with encryption. Try Surfshark today and explore. Cover a wide variety of topics between anthropology, history, philosophy, politics, and others. However, the thing I've become
expert in all fields. You're like Keanu Reeves after he awakens in the Matrix.
Best known for is my prediction that modern America is on the verge of a political crisis comparable to the French Revolution or the...
That's not a difficult prediction to make when we're in the middle of a constitutional crisis, man.
The American Civil War. That America is about to experience a horrifying internal war between the right and the left, which will completely remake the current social order, leaving blood on the streets. If you're new to this show, that may sound insane. However, watch my half a dozen videos on the topic if you'd like to hear more. Especially so, my 1,000 deaths bet has gone pretty viral. Last April, I made a bet with my friend Andrew Heaton that America would
Wait. Who's Andrew Heaton? That sounds familiar. He's the host of a podcast called The Political Orphanage, a frequent Reason TV contributor. He led... I'm sorry, there's an interesting fact about him on his page. He owns 1 square foot of a Scotch whiskey distillery in Scotland. Is that the new like... feudal lord like titles scam? I'm sorry. All right, cool. He lived in a tool shed behind his best friend's house for 6 months while working as a TV extra. I mean, that's cool. Okay, like that's cool. I like that. He led weekends of awesomeness expeditions in Oklahoma where he attended a prison rodeo, went spelunking without a helmet, gambled at a wiener dog race, had dinner with an Amish family, went looking for alleged Viking runestones, and ate 2 beating rattlesnake hearts. One, okay, just pause. You ate 2. Like you ate the first one and then said, "More, please?" Why? But also, why were you looking for Viking runestones in Oklahoma? We didn't get that far, bucko. Also, a prison rodeo sounds like slang for something that is unspeakably filthy. A prison rodeo sounds like an incredibly sexual time. And, you know, good on you, Andrew Heaton. Oh, he's a dual citizen of the Principality of Hutt River and was appointed a royal diplomatic envoy by Prince Leonard in 2012. That's interesting. Though I am also wondering if that's kind of a similar Scotch whiskey distillery situation. All right. I don't know anything else about this man. I'm going to assume he's totally fine and not at all controversial, just for the benefit of the doubt.
Experience 1,000 politically motivated deaths within the next year. I then said it on Timcast a few months ago, which broadcasted it out. People are taking this way more seriously than I did.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. What? You said it on Timcast? God damn it. This is... See, all of these people are connected. Like, they are not bright, to say the least. And they all just have their same self-serving circles in the back. Yeah, of course, you went on Timcast and said 1,000 people are going to die, and then everyone gave you attention because conservatives are suckers for that. Like, you could go on a conservative podcast and predict there's going to be like 12 more plane crashes in the next 3 weeks, and they'd go nuts about that too.
Ago, which broadcasted it out. People are taking this way more seriously than I did. I'm actually not.
If I send you money to buy space in the video, will I be a legal lord or lady? You'll be a legal lord or lady of that space in the video. Not of any physical territory, just of that time in the video. You know, if you can buy space, you can certainly buy time. And, you know, when you look at physics, space-time is essentially the same thing.
Not keeping a counter, and the number 1,000 is relatively arbitrary. I find people get obsessive.
Oh, is it? It's arbitrary. You didn't use all of your mathematical apparati
over games where you have a pre-established rule structure. The thing is that if America has 1,000 politically motivated deaths, we really have 50,000 or 5 million or 30 million. The way wars work is that when it rains, it pours. Overnight, you go from peace to complete social breakdown. This is what happened in the World Wars, the American Civil War, the Ukraine War, or even COVID. If we hit 1,000, you'll definitely know. Here we are nearly halfway through February, and it hasn't happened yet. There's not much really else to say. I was very open for my entire career that my job is betting against God, and I'm very transparent about my fallibility. If it doesn't happen, it just didn't happen. There's not much else to say. I'm not going to fill your mind with useless chatter. There's no need to...
I'm not going to fill your mind with useless chatter is like the last thing. Like, I don't believe you. I call bullshit on that, sir. Oh yeah, it's who you think it is, Lady Redclad.
To be children about this. This stuff operates under chance in the
He's betting against God. Well, if you've seen the deep dive into his insanity, he thinks he's God. So, you know, I guess he's betting against himself, in which case it's a rigged game.
Possible part of predicting the future is the actual timing. It's fairly plausible to get an underlying trend down, but to actually predict when it happens is vastly more difficult. For example, is it difficult to figure out when a revolution is going to happen? Geez. still think a major war is completely unavoidable. I think it's impossible to get out of the next 4 years without blood on the streets, however and whenever it happens. If it doesn't happen by this April, then I'm going to say within the next 4 years. If it doesn't happen by then, I'll just be objectively wrong. There's nothing else I can say. I see lots of people on my side of the aisle, and I will be open about my biases since they're pretty obvious, and if you don't agree, feel free to take my slant out, where lots of people on the right think that Trump could stop a civil war. I would say
Trump isn't going to stop a civil war. He has no interest in that. Mithril Miss, thank you for the £2. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the show. And I appreciate anyone who does so. Thank you so much.
We've already seen Trump have 4 years in office. I do think Trump is the best president in living memory, which
oh boy, we have to read. I say that Trump is the best president in living memory for a handful of reasons. 1, most presidents in living memory aren't that good. Also, just formatting question here. Why is there no space between the periods and the set? It's fine, but like that'd be how most people would format it. So anyway, most presidents living memory aren't that good. Trump was the only president since the 60s who saw an increase in quality of life for poor Americans. 3, he was the first president to deal with deindustrialization. Right. 4, he called the bluff on the managerial class's dominance. Also, all right, again, the formatting and the grammar here leads a lot to be desired. He shattered the pre-established conservative elite and thus opened up space for the new right to form. He was pretty strong on foreign policy, especially being the first American president who was serious on China and built up a strong coalition in the Middle East. I don't think any of this is true. I don't think Trump. Most presidents in living memory aren't that good, but even in that pile of presidents, Trump is nowhere near the top. What if alt hist? He's the first American president to be very serious on China, which is why he has all of his merchandise produced there.
Which may sound dramatic, but here's a text wall to explain why. However, a competent business mogul can't stop this avalanche. The issues plaguing modern America stem.
A competent business mogul, he's driven us directly into an economic recession for no reason. What?
Back decades. The reason I think we'll have a war is that the average American exists in a state of poverty today. Due to complex demographic factors that mostly started around 1971, the average American has gotten significantly poorer, the country has incredibly high inequality, inflation has skyrocketed, and there are...
You know, that's really interesting that you list it as starting in 1971, and yet seems to really start here in not 1971. In fact, this looks to be 1979. That it's really interesting. It's so bizarre.
Huge classes of elite aspirant, politically motivated young people who want to fight. These are the factors historians have consistently.
I'm just real going back real quick. You know, in fact, just kind of looking at this a little bit, it actually seems to be relatively steady until, hey, wait a minute, what happened here? In 1981? That's strange. In 1981, these numbers start to diverge. I wonder what happened in 1981. I wonder what happened in 1981. Can any of you figure out what happened in 1981? Very good. That's right. Ronald Reagan. That's crazy.
Inflation has skyrocketed, and there are huge classes of elite aspirant, politically motivated.
And again, I'm taking away the subtitles so that we can see the graph here. Let's see. Oh, look, 1973-ish. Looks like suddenly the breakage between productivity and hourly compensation. I wonder what contributed to that. What caused productivity and compensation to decouple? This is very interesting. Where did this chart come from? Because interestingly enough, this chart comes from doesn't seem to go past 2013, and yet here is a chart that looks very, very similar, in fact. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! That's crazy. Huh? Wonder why it continued to stop tracking. Let's see. What broke the link between pay and productivity? This is from the EPI. Starting in the late 1970s, policymakers began dismantling all the policy bulwarks, helping to ensure that typical workers' wages grew with productivity. Excess unemployment was tolerated to keep any chance of inflation in check. Raises in the federal minimum wage became smaller and rarer. Labor law failed to keep pace, and growing employer hostility towards unions. Tax rates on the top incomes were lowered, and anti-worker deregulatory pushes, from the deregulation of the trucking and airline industries to the retreat of antitrust policies to the dismantling of financial regulations and more, succeeded again and again. That's so crazy. And if we're looking here, preceded by Gerald Ford. That's crazy. And okay. So who was president between 1970 and 1974? Does anyone want to take a guess? Who was president from 1970 to 1974? It was Nixon. That's right. Nixon started these policies, tricky dick, in the 1970s. And those were continued on by Gerald Ford and then rapidly increased under good old Ronald Reagan. Cool.
Young people who want to fight. These are the factors historians have consistently found cause revolutions or civil wars. Said in another way, there's no historic society that looks like us that doesn't have a revolution. There's about 20 different variables you could study blasting off that say we're about to have a revolution. If you're new to this channel, I purposely kept this segment short in order to not bore the people who have heard this spiel 100 times already.
Yeah, because we all know you are the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle.
I am the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle.
1981 was the year Reagan fired the strike air traffic controllers, fundamentally altering the ability of unions to agitate for better working conditions, hours, etc.
Yep. Nailed it. And very knifey duck, a very knifey thank you for the $5 dono. Very much appreciated.
So how does this factor in with the left? Reality is made by a million little choices stemming from the minds of the players. I know the right pretty well, but the left is the other player in the game.
That's right. I forgot he was largely shaped by playing too many RTS games and 4X games. That's right. We're all merely players on the board.
Thus, in order to figure out what will happen here, we need to look into the minds of the left to see what their motivations are for their next potential actions. This ultimate question will determine the fate of our civilization. Part 2, Mind Migrations.
Look, you all merely think you know, but sometimes you can only know if you are a spiritual Gandalf.
The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
That's a mind migration for you folks.
Oh, there used to be a time when America was a single country. You could drive from Boston to Los Angeles to see a coherent society where people had similar values, blood, philosophic views, national identity, understanding of their shared history.
That has never been true. That has literally never been true. I deported my mind migrants. No. I just yeah, everyone in America used to be related by blood. What? You could drive from one end of the country to the other and it would all be one homogenous mass. What? That's just patently untrue. As somebody from Minnesota, from a family of like Swedish, Norwegian, and German immigrants, okay, like I can tell you, the Swedes, the Germans, the Norwegians, they all had blood feuds with each other up here in Minnesota, and that's setting aside, you know, indigenous people who were here before us, or like other groups of people who came, and like the idea that we were just a homogenous happy mass is the imagined past is just that. It's well, I don't have words for it, but I do have a helpful visual aid to describe what this is.
And income range. That's obviously not the case now.
America, the Blood Wars.
Ironically, globalization and immigration have...
That's right, folks. You all thought he was building up to a civil war? No, we're talking about the American Blood Wars. Nailed it.
Split different regions of America more apart, while the intention was to do the opposite. Do you...
Oh, what? This is Nazi rhetoric? Yeah, that's because what if Alt Hist is a Nazi who believes he's guided by Odin?
Guys, remember 2010? I think everyone who's watching this should be old enough to do so. For the 10-year-old watching this, I want to say I am very proud.
What? You think 10-year-olds are watching your content? Who would subject children to this?
Old enough to do so. Guys, remember 2010? I think everyone who's watching this should be old enough to do so. For the 10-year-old watching this, I want to say I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have.
Can I get that on the soundboard? Can I get I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have? Can I get that on the soundboard, please? I need it. This is loser shit. This guy is such a loser. Oh god. I'm hemorrhaging. Yeah. I'm just hearing this over and over in my mind.
To be able to understand this at this age, and if society is still functioning when you're older, you could probably become quite wealthy off being so precocious.
You know, can we just take a moment? Can we just take a moment in the middle of this? We are 8 minutes into this video. Okay? This video has 487,000 views. No one in the comments, by the way, is at all talking about any of this shit. Like, they're not talking about the weird aside about like 10-year-olds watching this. Like, if you're a 10-year-old watching this video, you're a very smart boy. You're just the smartest boy. I bet you're going to be a billionaire. You're the smartest child ever, because you understand my content. And like, you have to understand, like, when he's talking like that, he's also talking to his adult audience, and I think, frankly, the adult audience is getting something out of, like, out of this. Like, they're his children in a way. Like, I don't know. This is so fucking weird. Anyway, yeah, I bet you could become a billionaire.
However, 2010 was an interesting psychological state at complete odds with the rest of the human condition. 2010 was the last point where you could see that.
By the way, I'm pretty sure in 2010, Rudyard was like 9 or 10 years old. So like
unified 20th century myth of America.
Yeah, 2010 was the last time you could see a unified America. Fuck you, you asshole. That's not even remotely true. Why 2010? Because 2010, he was 10 years old. And in his child brain, he was like, yeah, America. We're one people. Just one unified, harmonious whole. And then the Fire Nation attacked. Retroactively in 2001.
I'll watch movies from 2010, and it feels almost as if it was a different reality that somehow I lived in.
They're movies, man. They're not real. They're not. They were made by Hollywood for a different social, like, fabric public. This is nostalgia, you dipshit. Like, holy shit.
Last time you could see an America that looked reminiscent of The Simpsons or Home Alone. This was a time when Hollywood and Wall
You can literally still find that. It's a diminished middle class. You can still find it.
Street were seen as Americana. The reason I'm pointing this out is that our society's collective psychological starting point is this time period. The great...
What? No, it's not. 15 years ago is not the event horizon for all of society. Just for you. Because you were a kid in 2010 and then you started growing up faster. Because you went through puberty and shit. God damn, this guy is such a numbnuts. What is he talking about? He's talking about his, like, nostalgia goggles, but he's universalizing them to everyone and the very fabric of society itself.
Irony is that this old 20th century America was a lie and
Oh my god. Things all the rest of history believe that we don't. Men and women are biologically different. No. Actually, in the past, people didn't even know how like women created babies. They literally didn't know. They knew it had some association with, like, having sex, but it's only relatively recently that they figured this out. Okay? Like, no. Like, they would know, like, man, pee-pee, woman, vagina, but, like, that wasn't a hard rule, you know? Anyway. I mean, I feel like that this shouldn't even be that difficult to, like, demonstrate. You can find, like, statues of, like, intersex people from, like, Roman and Greek times. Like, this isn't even, like, that difficult to show that they recognize that. 2, race, sex, ethnicity, and class are partly biological. I don't even know where to begin on this one. Class is biological. Do you have the rich gene? The richy rich gene in you? Jesus. Race is an invention and class is bullshit. Race is literally a social construct that has no bearing on the actual color of people's skin. Man, guys, the coal miner gene? Yeah, exactly. How the fuck is class partly biological? Don't ask. He's gonna make, like, a 3-hour-long video about it. It's gonna be a nightmare. Oh god. All right. I'm sorry. This is breaking my brain a little bit.
I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have.
Jesus Christ. It's in. Okay. Okay, yeah, race is a social construct. You literally know that because like you can look at the writings of Benjamin Franklin, and even Benjamin Franklin was like, yeah, those filthy non-white Swedes, Norwegians, and Germans. So like it's a social construct. That's just a fact. Sex, again, relatively socially constructed. Like you can consider partially biological in the sense that it's like it occurs in like a bimodal spectrum manner, but like again, a socially constructed two category system that doesn't really capture the full breadth of what sex can be. Ethnicity, sure, partly biological, sure, why not? 3, progress is not an innate law of the world. Wait, we do believe that. Like, progress can also regress. That's why we have the word regress. 4, family, community, and nation is the bedrock of human life. Nations are relatively modern concepts. So no. Community and family. Well, yeah, because humans are social creatures. War is a nasty reality to accept. Accept.
I am the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle.
Accept. 6, equality doesn't really exist. Yeah, you're right. It's an ideal to strive towards because we all benefit from it. 7, the greatest things are divine and the lowest are demonic.
The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
He forgot the space between... Wait, this time... Wait. Oh no, he put spaces between some of the periods, I think? No, maybe not. Okay, never mind. But he forgot the space between R and divine. 8, there are archetypal forms to the universe. No, there's not. Archetypes are a debunked pseudoscientific thing dreamed up by Carl Jung. This is some Jordan Peterson brained bullshit. Human nature is innately fallible. I don't think anyone disagrees with that, actually. 10, there is a divine and spirit world. Yeah, the divine and the demonic. Yeah. 11, consciousness exists in its own right. Like, separate from a brain. I would love to see that demonstrated. 12, happiness has more to do with values and connection than with material wealth. I mean, yes and no. There's a certain amount of material wealth that can be used to secure greater happiness. And after that, there are diminishing returns. I think like the number was like, at least like 10 years ago, was like $80,000 a year or something like that. 13, that the universe is a self-reflexive conscious system. That is absolutely not a thing that all of the rest of history believed that we don't. And also, just is not true. 14, that history operates in cycles of bad times, decadence. Yeah, sometimes things go from bad to good and good to bad. That's true. Because it's almost like things being good and bad, kind of like a binary system. So it's either good or bad. That's not really a cycle so much as you created a binary by which to sort things. Kind of like when you flip a light switch on and off. It's not really a cycle per se. In the sense of like any kind of meaningful addition to what it means to exist. My source for all of this is that I made it the fuck up.
Completely removed from the rest of the human condition. This was the era of the blue pill, a society where it was an era which thought that history was over, believed in equality, feminism, progress, secularism, didn't believe in the spiritual, pretended to be Christian.
Oh my god. Oh no, there's another wall of text.
If past people prioritized values and connection over material wealth, why did they go invading and colonizing for material wealth?
Look, Nomi Sunrider, you have to understand that, like, people of the past were enlightened, they were homogenous, they were in unity across all of America, holding hands, like the hit movie Us. And also, like, they, you know, they were out there, they weren't looking for wealth, they were looking for God. And immaterial things like glory. And, you know, just in the process of looking for those things, they also got the gold. And, you know, like that's, you know, that was incidental. They weren't looking for it, but if they happened to find it, they weren't going to turn their nose up to it. You know, like, also, I would just like to commend you.
I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have.
Oh, God.
But didn't really.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, another wall of text. I'm convinced most modern Christians don't actually believe in God. That's because it's impossible to really have God through a materialist paradigm, through which is completely dominant in the West today. Materialism is the idea that all reality is material atoms. In an idealist mental framework, God must exist as the central nuclear mode of consciousness. This is why God was so intuitive to pre-modern societies, but not ours. Most Christians see Christianity as a moral code for social control. Everyone today sees religion as a vector of social control. It's just that the right likes that control and the left dislikes it. If God spoke to Christians through a burning bush, they'd see themselves as mad. Like, I'm sorry here, but like, materialism is the idea that all reality is material atoms. That's not so. Material reality is just reality you can demonstrate. It's just reality you can demonstrate and reproduce. That just broke me. You know what? We're only 9 minutes into a 55-minute video.
Believe in God, was so wealthy, naive, and many other traits. This was all an illusion spun by the enormous wealth of the post-World War II era. It's so remarkable how quickly we've forgotten the entire rest of the human condition. All of human history outside this warm bubble is very different. Hierarchical, religious, coercive, violent, magical.
You know what's crazy? Like, he's saying this about a time period during which the United States was doing violent coups and overthrowing governments around, like, our entire half of the world. He's saying this about a time period during which, like, there were the threat of, like, a global nuclear war was very real, and he's like, we forgot about it in our magical warm bubble. It's like there was a thing happening called the Cold War. They talked about it a lot, actually. They had children doing drills for what to happen if, like, their nearest town was annihilated by an atom bomb.
Mythic, dramatic, heroic, amongst other things. The problem is that the illusion of 2010, as time passed, became impossible to maintain for a larger...
Oh my god. What? The illusion of 2010 became harder to maintain. After I'd played Angry Birds, it was all downhill from there. Like, are you... What? After I saw Twilight, it was all downhill. Now Kristen Stewart is gay and in those movies about underwater eldritch monstrosities. And Robert Pattinson is doing heady art films about lighthouses with Willem Dafoe and his huge dong.
In a larger percent of the population. The main story of our...
Angry Birds radicalized him with all of the anger. Maybe video games did break him.
times is how does one choose to leave the myth of the 2010 era? A major reason I believe we have to have a civil war.
I genuinely, like, it's insane to me to go from everything was pristine and perfect in 2010 to guess we have to have a civil war now because we aren't having any more Twilights. Like, that's, you realize that's fucking nuts, right? Like, this is the rantings of a lunatic. Genuinely. There's not, you need to have, like, okay, just real quick, right? You need to have like an actual argument. And the argument you're trying to make here is that there was something unique about the 2010s or 2010 in particular that made it like this last gasp. And the argument you have made to back that up is that you watched movies from then and they just seem different. And now you've concocted a theory of civil war based off of the fact that the movie Twilight feels different now. It feels like it was made for a different audience. And like, yeah, because you aren't 10 anymore. Like, you know, like, it wasn't made for you. I just, yeah, he was radicalized by Team Edward and Team Jacob's extremism.
Is that America has become a country where we have different large demographics of the population who basically believe in different realities of the world that have been diverging more and more over the last few years, and these understandings of reality are completely unreconcilable. I am going to split the population into different pills based off red pill terminology, since the only way you can understand the left is to see their own internal emotional journey.
Man, I love that he's using a trans matrix analogy to just color code different ideological positions.
Major issue as well is that the society is completely incapable of coming to terms with the fact that the blue pill era was a lie. Thus, different factions have different answers, most of which are frankly incredibly stupid and silly, since the wise and educated older folks who should have brought more wisdom are themselves bought into maintaining the old lie. An important point that I want to say before I get started is that although we inhabit the same physical space as the left, we are not in the same world, if you understand what I'm saying. The word world carries connotations of your entire concept for how reality works between metaphysics.
I just, you know, like, I'm half expecting here to see something so different. Can we just I need it. Yeah, here we go. I keep thinking he's gonna throw up something like this. You know, like just something along these lines. Just you know, the flat Earth map. You know, we've got it all, baby. I just I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the point where he gets radicalized to, you know, the flat Earth situation. What even is this map? It's the flat Earth. It shows what's outside of the ice wall, you see. See, there's ice wall number 1, and then you sail even further, and then you hit ice wall number 2. And then, if you manage to get through that, there's the you know, the continents of the gods, like Asgard. So, you know, that's cool. It's just Attack on Titan, but with water. Yeah. Anyway.
Physics, between philosophy, between your process of just how the environment and human life is, which is why I'll frequently say stuff like
oh boy, wait, did he make these maps himself? He made these maps himself, dog. There's the West, there's Latin America, and then just nothing over here. Just absolutely barren of culture. And then of course, also barren of culture everywhere up here. And all of Alaska, also barren of culture. And then you have all of this is barren of culture, nothing happening here at all. And as we all know, this is the Islam part of the world. And then we have India. And then Highland Buddhists and Orthodox, the West, Malay, Japan, and Ethiopia, and then Sahel. So I do like the implication here that like anyone that lives in like, you know, upper Canada or Greenland or, you know, Alaska or the Amazon or anywhere in the African interior is culturally the same as Antarctica. Cool, definitely not racist as fuck.
Islamic world or the Western world and that sort of thing. This is a German concept originally. This is a point that I need to—
Oh yeah. Do you really like those German concepts? I wouldn't have guessed.
Emphasize. If you're a rightist, you've gone through an enormous intellectual journey since 2016. I look at who I was in 2016 and I was 15 years old, and I'm in complete—
Fuck, dog.
shock at how much I've changed as a person, as have my views. The left have been on their own—
Wait a minute.
I look over— This is a German concept.
Okay, well, first of all, we know he's full of shit because in the year 2005, the movie Madagascar came out, and he should know, as he was 5 at the time, the ideal age group for Madagascar, that Madagascar has, you know, culture and civilization. So, you know, I'm calling bullshit on this entire map.
Originally. This is a point that I need— 2016. I look at who I was in 2016.
I've gone through an enormous intellectual journey since 2016. Yeah, I would hope that you've gone on an intellectual journey since you were 15 years old. I would hope that you haven't just stayed in stasis from when you were a teenager.
16 and I was 15 years old, and I'm in complete shock at how much I've changed as a person, as have my views. The left have been on their own journey, one which rightists don't see. The result of this—
Yeah, because we live in linear time and events happen propelling us forward through time. That's how that works.
Journey appears as madness to rightists, which it objectively is, don't get me wrong, but it completely makes sense inside the frame the left is holding on to. Let me start—
What?
Makes sense inside the frame the left is holding on to.
Why did he bleep that out? It sounded like he was trying to say rhetorical.
Let me start with my group, and I would assume yours, the red pill.
Well, but again, if he used the R slur, then why is he ending it with like all? Like you don't. Okay.
It frequently feels as if the last 4 years has been God shoving me red pills, saying, "Hey kid, take another shot and don't throw up this time." I've been red pilled on so many things in such a short time period that I find my old worldview completely incomprehensible and silly. The conclusion I eventually came to is that the pre-industrial world was right on almost everything. That really shouldn't—
Hell yeah, dog. It's so great. It's so good to be pre-industrial. This man would have died in like I don't know, 2 weeks. If he built a time machine and went back to pre-industrial days, he'd die in 2 weeks.
Wouldn't be surprising, given every society ever in history before us largely believed a lot of the very same obvious things, which I show in this text wall here.
I love that you even refer to it as a text wall. And again, as somebody who has, at the very least, I minored in history, I can tell you this is not a consistent belief throughout history and time. Like, none of these are consistent throughout time. Except for some of them where, like, we still accept it. Like, war is nasty and we don't like it, but like we also know that it happens.
I don't want to get too far into the right because that's not the point of this video, but suffice it to say, the right is currently in the formation of new mental and philosophic breakthroughs. Of all
The right is doing a lot of philosophical labor right now, for sure. But just you wait. You send enough of us leftists into camps, we'll be breaking ground on brand new philosophies, the likes of which you can only imagine.
All the fields I've been in modern America, and I've seen a lot of different industries, the new right is one of the most creative and dynamic. You do have—
Wait, is he in that photo? Yeah, he's this guy right here. I kid. I have no idea who that is.
Industries, the new right is one of the most creative and dynamic. You do have the Fox News watching boomer cons who still believe the exact same things as Reagan, but they're aging out. They don't even really hold power due to the Trump coup. The right deserves its own video, but the short answer—
I do at the very least appreciate that he acknowledges that Donald Trump has done an administrative coup.
Is that everyone on the new right today have all collectively agreed that the 2010 blue pill era was a lie, and they're looking to further in the past to find a new answer. They're on the right, haha, pun intended, path. There are a few other—
Why are you like this? Like seriously. I've watched the manifesto. Why are you like this? Like why do you write this way? The right, ha ha ha, pun intended. Like you don't need to do that. It's also like it's not a funny enough joke to like write into your script. You know? It's not good enough. God. Now's as good a time as any to say, hey, if you're enjoying this, consider hitting that follow button on Twitch, that subscribe button on YouTube, the like button on YouTube, on the stream, and consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. So you guys make this stream possible, and I couldn't do it without you fine folks. No, Jack, I'm traumatized. You know, I told you we were going in weird and wacky directions tonight. Right-wing, yeah, the latest right-wing innovation in YouTube videos is simply schizo posting. I hope you guys are having fun with this, though, because I'm having fun at being baffled by this. And you know what? Frankly, it's just cathartic to make fun of someone that embodies the insanity of conservatism, and I appreciate it. All right. Here we go!
There are intellectual tracks, which I talk about here in this text wall. In the original edit for this video, I had a 10-minute segment strategically analyzing each of these pills for their strengths and weaknesses.
Okay. So we have the... I was going to split the population into these pills. Blue pill, supporters of 20th century status quo. Red pill, rightists who reject modernism. Gay pill, radical leftists who diverge from the 20th century order by saying it wasn't extreme enough. Black pill, cynics who have given up. Genuine question, why not just write gay? Like, G-A-Y. Like, are you too cowardly to just say it with your chest? Like, I usually assume that's the reason. Because I don't think you guys put, like, emphasis on that H there. You don't, like, gay! Like, he misspelled it. Genuinely, there are enough spelling errors in this that I could believe that he misspelled gay. That's true.
I realize we didn't really need that here, but let me know if you want a video with me explaining these different pills in the future.
Why would anyone want that? What? I mean, I would cover that and make fun of you for it, but no one should want that.
Right made an active decision to break away from the old worldview.
Wait, no, he must have meant gay pill. There's no way he meant to write gray pill, right? R and H are too far away on the keyboard.
All the left needed to double down. I'm so disappointed that all the anarchist, rebel, punk tendencies inside the left were so fake. They've become complete bootlickers for the regime, and it's depressing to see—
Man, I love that his definition of the regime somehow doesn't include the people who currently run the government of the most powerful country on earth. Like, yeah, the real anarchists are Donald Trump. He's the real anarchist. Are you fucking? I mean, I know he's fucking crazy. I know that.
I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have. Even communists, who are supposedly there to support the working classes, betray them for wokeness. The thing is that—
Wait, elaborate on literally any of the bits you're saying here.
The way the left differs from the 2010 order is by distilling said order into even greater fanaticism. What that means is that the philosophic conclusions of the blue pill era in their worldview have to be pushed even further without question. Things like equality, secularism, standardization, which are innately false, need to be pushed to their ultimate culmination. Ironically enough, there's two kinds of blue pilled person. You have the boomer blue pill and the zoomer blue pill, and the boomer blue pill is taking the post-World War II silliness at its original face value and then not changing and ignoring how the world has altered massively since 1970, while the zoomer blue pill is just complete deranged insanity, pushing these originally incorrect assumptions to, again, complete insanity. The 2010 order is all—
I don't want you to criticize any group of people for being completely insane until you, like, watch your own video. Like, come on, man.
Already dead, since it was always built off lies. The left deals with this by making the lies even more obnoxious. I hope you can see how in the process of doing so, they make it impossible.
Lies like what? Like, again, if you're writing this as an essay, and I know you don't know how to write essays, right? But if you're writing this as an essay, you have to provide arguments for your points. You can't just say a thing and expect it to be taken as true. You have to argue for it.
Possible to adjust strategically as they default into being a cult. Ironically, their moral code literally denies the importance of evidence, which is—
You know, that's crazy that you say that. It's insane to me that you're talking about oh, the left is denying the importance of evidence when I'm pleading you, begging, throwing up, vomiting for you to provide citations on, like, literally anything in these videos.
so brutal, it's not even something a conservative could make up about the left as a parody. So what happened with the left? To start,
it's so brutal that I couldn't even make it up out of parody. Okay, then, like, give the evidence that you want. Give the evidence for it, man. Elaborate.
The left gained control over the West's institutions.
I genuinely, Alex Jungroth, I can't. I understand the impulse to be like, oh, he means neoliberalism, but, like, genuinely, I don't think this guy understands any of these concepts or things. And I do not believe he is capable of having a discussion about neoliberalism, even if he knew what the term was.
Around the time period of the world wars. You see this in how the Western elites did a tremendous amount to cover up the communist atrocities that occurred under Mao or Stalin. However, the left was absolutely brilliant at—
I'm sorry, what?
Control over the West's institutions around the time period of the world wars. You see this in how the Western elites did a tremendous amount to cover up the communist atrocities that occurred under Mao or Stalin.
What? What are you talking about? Genuinely, what are you talking about? What an effort to cover up the atrocities. Like, academics were systematically targeted by the government if they, like, said good things about Russia or China during this time. What are you talking about? No, like, I'm sorry. No one I have ever met at, like, elite educated institutions has ever been like, oh yeah, Stalin didn't kill anybody. Mao, yeah, that Mao guy never killed a guy. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, exactly, Uncle Gumbald. My political education, I went to college and learned that 40 gajillion people died under capitalism, but 0 died under communism. That was my educational experience. What if alt hist is completely correct?
However, the left was absolutely brilliant at psyoping the public, creating the false mirage of consent, fairness, science, and rationality. Over the course of a century, the state and bureaucracy grew more
I'm sorry. The false mirage of consistent fairness,
science and rationality.
Science and rationality. You know, when you say that rationality is false, it makes a lot more sense that you haven't provided any evidence for any of this waffle you're posting in this video. You know, like, that makes sense. Also, science isn't a mirage. It's a methodology. Science is just short for the scientific method. It is a series of ways to conduct experimentation and review of said experimentation so that we can, replicate phenomena in material reality and like collectively amass knowledge about it. Like that's not a mirage. The knowledge is real, man. I just woo.
Over the course of a century, the state and bureaucracy grew more powerful, the culture grew more leftwards, women gained more authority, while America got less white. The left
Oh, yeah. Again, these things are bad. Women having autonomy and America becoming less white. A big problem in his book.
Left is a kind of mythical vampiric succubi which seduces its prey by saying whatever sweet words to get them to go back to sleep so that they can suck our blood again. It's hard to understand why the
Nobody wants to suck your blood, man.
Left so irrationally hates Trump until you realize this fact.
We hate Trump because he wants to destroy our democratic apparatus. He wants to destroy the very ability for us to continue to elect and have representation in government. He says so, and he threatens our very constitutional rights, the fabric that holds our country together. And he does so on a near daily basis.
The left created this false mirage of reality in which they distorted human nature, physics, history, anthropology, religion, and any other discipline to reflect back their absurdities onto the rest of the world. This meant that the things that the rest of history would see as complete madness would come across as common sense to a modern person trying to understand the world. The left created a psychological web where once you accept one of their—
like what? Give an example. Give examples. I want names. Like, because this just seems like your confusion about the world projected onto leftists. That's what this seems like,
their premises, they win no matter what you do. I cover this more so in my video called Shatter the Glass. If a white person moves out of a minority area, it's white flight, and inside one is gentrification. If a man is too aggressive with a woman, it's rapey.
I'm sorry.
If a white person moves out of a minority area, it's white flight, and inside one is gentrification.
No. Those words have meaning. That's not what they mean. Those relate to wider scale phenomena than individual actions. Those are wider scale phenomena. White flight is not one person moving. White flight is a bunch of people moving specifically because they want to get away from groups of people with ethnic or racial differences. That's different than what you're describing. Similarly, gentrification is a different process than one white person moving into a predominantly non-white neighborhood. That's not gentrification. That's like that. Again, gentrification is a wider scale problem involving like pricing lower income, racially, ethnically diverse groups of people out of their homes. And gentrification can also affect white people. It's not a problem just limited to African Americans, for example. That's something that can happen to anyone because it is an economic phenomenon. And yeah, the people doing gentrification are the developers, exactly, Hypervisor.
If a man is too aggressive with a woman, it's rapey, and if he's too passive, it's not attractive, and it's an ick.
Again, a man being too aggressive with a woman is not like this is a different kind of problem. Because if a man is too aggressive, it means he has acted without the woman's consent, which is definitionally rapey. Again, if a man is too passive, that's not necessarily unattractive. But what that kind of dichotomy indicates is a person who is unwilling to engage with a woman as an equal. Right? This is what I talked about earlier tonight when I talked about like the need to instill in young men the idea that it's okay to be friends with women. Like, what would solve this kind of problem would be just talking to the woman. You know, like you just talk to them and ask what they want. It's not rocket science. And it's not attractive and an ick for a man to be too passive. Like, you know, sometimes it's just okay to not hit it off with someone. That's also like the third way here. It's just you know, sometimes it's okay to not pursue a relationship with someone. And it's not the end of the world. OMFG, I lost a pre-transition friend because he couldn't handle being friends with a woman the way we were friends. Yeah, exactly. It happens a lot.
The left was able to make our entire world reflect their lies, which made it almost impossible to break out of their web of illusions. The way I did it was from reading history.
Do you get it? Do you get it? It's the on screen. This is the web of illusion. This is the web of illusion. Do you get it? Do you get the visual metaphor?
Almost impossible to break out of their web of illusions. The way I did it was from reading history, one of the most difficult fields to purely falsify, and this is why there are...
What? History, one of the most difficult fields to falsify, based entirely on collections of various historians with their subjective viewpoints and anthropological research and data. Isn't history written by the victors? Often yes. Often yes. This man is dumb as shit.
Are so many historians who become conservative pundits. The left was able to even get the right to reflect their own fantasies. The right was able to play along with the left's game of bureaucracy, safetyism, femininity, minority appeals, the college system, corporate America, amongst other things. The reason the left hates Trump so much is that he is a single man who's defied their entire order.
No, again, it's that he's a threat to the very constitutional rights upon which this country was founded. And we actually give a shit about those constitutional rights. Unlike conservatives, apparently, who don't. They don't give a shit. All of the patriotism was a fucking lie the entire time, apparently. Because the second the rubber hit the road, the second things actually mattered, they all abandoned the Constitution as it was under attack. They are cowards and traitors to the very concept of America. And frankly, I feel like this video is really hammering that home.
Inside Trump is a story of how the left is completely wrong and evil.
Oh, God. Okay, another wall of text. Trump indirectly showed a lot of things that the left had been using as their right to rule was wrong. 1, they were the oppressed fighting against the regime. 2, that life for normal Americans had been getting better. 3, that the general public was behind wokeness. 4, that the left would get stronger due to progress naturally. 5, you could stand against the globalist agenda with things like immigration, globalization, automation, etc. 6, the regime really screwed up with deindustrialization. 7, the regime had truly terrible foreign policy. 8, Trump openly challenged the managerial institutions, which had gained an unelected, unpopular stranglehold on the elite. 9, Trump gutted the old country club conservatism, creating a more vigorous populist form. And I just want to say, no, he fucking didn't. He runs the biggest, gaudiest, loudest country club in town. Like, what are you talking about? He literally owns a golf club that he visits every weekend. Additionally, let's just go through that. That the left were the oppressed fighting against the regime. Again, the left is not like, the neoliberals. They aren't left. They're conservative. They're your guys in sheep's clothing. 2, that life for normal Americans had been getting better. It had. Genuinely, it had been getting better. Hey, guess what? We're not poisoned by lead anymore. Thanks, leftists. Jesus. That is, the general public is behind wokeness. They are. Most people don't like transphobic, racist bigots. Most people don't like that. Like, people, when there's a transphobe in public, people don't like that. People don't like vigilante genital inspection police. Like, they don't like that. It's not actually fun or cool or interesting. It's just openly hateful, and it makes everyone uncomfortable. Most people don't like bigots. The left would get stronger due to progress naturally. No. That has never been a given. That's why we have had constantly to fight for it and push for it. 5, you could stand against the globalist agenda with things like immigration, globalization, automation, etc. I don't know what you mean by this because you're too incoherent, and I don't think you actually understand what those things mean. I don't know what the globalist agenda you're referring to here is, so I can't really respond to this properly. Also, I'm not really sure. How do you stand against the globalist agenda with globalization? You understand why I'm confused on that one? You're explain nothing. It's like you're, I don't know, just writing this in a drug-induced haze alongside workshopping your new religion, I guess. The regime really screwed up with deindustrialization. There is no concerted effort to do deindustrialization, so I'm not sure what that point is about. The regime had truly terrible foreign policy. I think this is the Trump regime, which, yeah. Citation, literally everything you get when you Google foreign policy today, right now. Wait, did the left make is that even what he means when he says deindustrialization? Because I don't think that's what he means. Offshoring manufacturing. I don't think that's what he means. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? It's all incoherent gibberish. Trump openly challenged the managerial institutions, which had gained an unelected, unpopular stranglehold on the elite. Again, I have no idea what you mean by this, unless you're trying to say, is this your way of trying to say deep state? Is this your way of trying to say bureaucrats who run the day-to-day operations of 1,000 different departments that each handle pretty vital and important work that keep people from dying? Yeah. Okay. You don't understand the children yearn for the assembly line? It's true. Losing a hand builds character. Trump, again, and then the country club thing. Okay. This guy's just fucking nuts.
This text wall if you're interested, but Trump is a man who was successful enough that he no longer needed the system. He then showed how the managerial class had been destroying America by appealing to normal Americans who had been grounded under the heel of a machine, whether through deindustrialization, immigration, DEI, the breakdown of the family, the school system, and so many other things. To continue explaining the reason that the left hates Trump is that for them to actually understand why so many Americans voted for him, they would have to completely destroy their own worldview. They have to motivate their followers into hating Trump, since in their false worldview, if they can get rid of Trump, they've removed the one thing that can snap their mirage. Keep in mind
What the fuck are you talking about? The reason we want to remove him is so that we can start picking up the pieces of everything he destroyed and then continue to make the world better for us and for you. You you don't deserve it, but we are going to make it better for everybody. God, just openly hateful. I'm bisexual and being friend zoned isn't gender specific. It's not gender specific, but also the people who talk about it and bemoan it the most tend to be cis men. What the fuck is this? We're diving into insanity. Grab your scuba gear.
Find that psychological studies keep finding that rightists are capable of mentally understanding leftists, but not vice versa. In fact,
yeah, this is very much you've demonstrated an incredibly on point understanding of leftists in this video. Oh my god. Fuck.
in fact, rightists have mental models of
Yeah, also, like, that's a great point, Cute Dark Arts. What studies? You know, like, if you're going to say that studies have shown that, cite the goddamn studies.
of the left that are 3 times as accurate at predicting their actions and ideas than vice versa. This is for complex neurological reasons I explain in this text wall.
Oh man, I need to know his complex neurological understanding. The left is more dependent on neurologically left hemisphere functions and the right on right hemisphere. Isn't that a funny irony? The thing here is that the left hemisphere can only see half the picture, views the world through money and power, has complete certainty, and is incapable of seeing intangible things like religion, community, culture, and change over time. These are psychological issues the left suffers from, and part of the left hemisphere is being unable to understand others, while the right hemisphere can. The right hemisphere is more accurate at predicting, but is more humble. Neurologically, rightists are more similar to other cultures, while the leftists are more distinct. Yeah, you know, I love the idea here that the left hemisphere can only see half the picture, views the world through money and power, has complete certainty, and is incapable of seeing intangible things like religion, community, culture, and change over time. When, like, you started your history of, like, the modern leftist movement in 2010. And not only that, hey, just out of curiosity, how many people in art school are conservative versus how many of them are leftist? I'm just, you know, if Hollywood is dominated by all of these leftists, how could that be if they're all left-brained? Surely they're incapable of understanding culture and art, right? I don't know, just really spitballing here. Even with brainwashing, it still doesn't make sense. Alt history, personal ideology isn't the typical Fox broadcast. Maybe the propaganda version of Trump can just be fit into any worldview. Well, what you guys aren't really catching on to is that he's the spiritual equivalent of Gandalf.
I am very proud of the mental horsepower you have.
Oh, sorry. I mean, he's Gandalf.
I am the intellectual equivalent of an assault rifle.
I mean, he's Gandalf.
The spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
So he's just inherently better than you because he's been sent by Odin to educate us and guide us onto a more enlightened path. And I'm not joking about that. He literally believes that.
Another point I'll also throw in is that if you look at Europe or Canada or other countries, you can see that Trump was an incredibly historically significant figure because all of their conservative parties have been psyoped and taken in by the managerial uniparty, which is why lots of conservative parties in Britain or Canada or Australia or France or Germany are to the left of the American Democrat Party. The number one demographic the left aims at psyoping at this point are themselves. An ironic term invented by the left is a thought-terminating point. The purpose of this is to give
the left didn't invent the term psyop. I'm pretty sure the CIA invented the term psyop. Just, you know, just gonna Google psyop here. Just real quick here. History. Okay. In use during World War I. There was extensive use of psychological operations in World War II. Did we invent PSYOP? Let's see. Psychological operations was assigned to the pre-CIA Office of Policy Coordination with oversight by the Department of State. The overall psychological operations of the United States, overt and covert, were to be under the policy direction of the United States Department of State during peacetime and the early stages of war. Oh, so, like, you mean the American left didn't invent that? That's crazy, dog. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Oh, we even had full-on psychological operation units. Huh. That's so crazy. Anyway, definitely seems like a leftist phenomenon.
Easy answer to make someone shut up and make them stop asking questions. This is a further incredible example of the point I keep on saying, that you can just look at the left's projections to figure out what they're doing. A great example of this is in one of my favorite movies ever, American Beauty, where a teenager works a crappy job to cover the expensive stuff.
Of course he would like American Beauty. I bet he thinks I bet he thinks that the plastic bag is deep, and that it was totally fine for Kevin Spacey to want to fuck a teenager.
Stuff he buys off actually being a drug dealer. For his dad, although the money he makes from catering is nowhere near enough for his son's obvious expenses, it does provide plausible deniability for his dad's denial. This is literally everything the left says now. It's all some thought-terminating point for their own followers to not have to realize that their entire vision of reality is wrong. It's not for you, it's for them. When it seems unbelievably cringe and completely unbelievable, it's because they don't really care about you believing it at this point anymore.
Yeah. The point of protest is not to debate you into believing them. Like, if you're seeing a giant protest with the sign, they're not there to, like, debate you. They're there to show how many of them believe the same thing and to try and, pressure a certain outcome, to try and influence people. And, like, yeah, it's not for, you're not, the people who watch What If Alt Hist videos and think, yes, this is a very smart young man, aren't going to be looking at Stop the War on Women and think, you're right, maybe I should be nicer to women. Maybe they do deserve bodily autonomy. That's not going to happen.
It's funny, when people watch these videos, they tend to think I'm some autistic, hyper-rational person, but the reality is I'm actually a very emotional person with a
Don't worry about that, Rudyard. Nobody thinks that you're a hyper rational person. Don't worry about that. We got you, buddy.
Emotions being the most important part of my inner monologue. I almost perfectly fit the sensitive young man meme, which is a joke they have in rightist circles that the next generation of young male leadership are sensitive young men that do stuff like stare at a well, thinking about the innate nature of life and death as symbolized in the water of the well. I've done that. Thus, when I study a
You're so deep. Truly, you contain multitudes. What's interesting to me is that, like, guys like this think that they are special and unique little snowflakes, and that no other person has a lived experience that is as deep as theirs. All of the people he dislikes are shallow. They are incapable of understanding the world or even being curious about it, etc., etc., etc. And, like, the thing is, I don't believe that about conservatives. Like, I think that they're deeply sad because I know that they're capable of introspection, because I'm capable of introspection. They just choose not to use that. They choose not to. They choose to remain ignorant and unaware. And that's deeply sad. They rob themselves of a deeper, more joyful, and more meaningful life.
group or an environment, the predominant thing I look at is the emotional state of everyone involved. I'm very intimate with the modern American left. Since I have loads of American relatives, I've lived for years in very left-wing cities, worked with leftists, and spent nearly a decade in leftist schooling. I was here for this process, so I know exactly how.
I was there for a decade in leftist schooling is a lot, is like the attempt to sound real tough about just you went to public school. You went to public school. That's your I worked with leftists. Come on, dude.
How it played out. A great thing the left never realizes is that the red bubble is significantly weaker than the blue bubble in that almost no conservative.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Konami the Alpha. Please go. It's your puff turn. Sorry.
In America have never seen a leftist argument, but plenty of leftists have never seen a conservative argument. The left.
I've seen plenty of conservative arguments, and I have participated in debates with conservatives. The arguments are just bad. The arguments are just bad. There used to be a time when the conservative arguments were rooted in like genuine concern for like fiscal stability, or at least a concern for fiscal stability and like long-term like viability that at the very least was genuine to some extent, even if it covered for other things. And like there were genuine arguments you could make in different directions about certain aspects of that fiscal policy. All of that has been abandoned. All of that has been abandoned. You know? And again, the valid conservative arguments these days are practically non-existent as far as I've seen. Yeah, also, we aren't even seeing really arguments in this video. This is just a lot of guy says shit.
Left was very smug and complacent before Trump. It's crazy.
Oh man, cool. A list of why Obama was one of the worst presidents in US history. Okay, I guess we've changed up the formatting of the list now. We're not using periods anymore. We're using parentheses. Okay, all right. I'm rolling with it. Just pro tip, if you're going to pick formatting style, stick with that one style. Don't just throw random shit together. Obama radicalized US aid. What does that mean? Do you mean he did more with US aid in order to like facilitate and increase our soft power around the world? Because that's a good political move. That's a good like geopolitical move. 2, he tried to overthrow multiple Middle Eastern regimes while failing, which causes deaths and war even today. And I will say, yeah, that was bad. I don't support that one. 3, he never fought back against China as they rose. I don't think you need to fight back against China when their economy is doing well. That's not a thing we need to really worry about. 4, he promoted deindustrialization and skyrocketing inequality. Again, promoted deindustrialization, citation needed. And yeah. Again, he was a neoliberal, so skyrocketing inequality is also baked in, and I am not a huge fan of that. He told Putin he could invade Crimea, starting the war. I don't think Obama told that to Putin. I don't think Obama said you can take Crimea, Vladimir. I believe in you. I don't think that happened. 6, he put radical leftists in positions of power. God, I wish that was true. 7, he presided over the rise of wokeness to social dominance. This doesn't mean anything. I don't even know what Rudyard means when he says wokeness. Like what he like the idea that gay people are okay, like the Supreme Court like legalized gay marriage, and so like and he was okay with it. Like that's all I can think of here that would fall into. 8, he did enormous inflating of currency or QE, quantitative easing, and we could get away with that because we were the petrodollar. We were the basis on which all other currencies functioned, and Donald Trump is now breaking that. And when that breaks, completely and utterly, we are going to be fucked because we won't be able to do that anymore. The reason we were able to is because we had a special quality to our currency, backed by the US military and our bonds. He gave BlackRock large funds, which resulted in them getting a stranglehold on the economy to push DEI, probably as some quid pro quo deal. I love the use of probably here, but also citation needed for literally any of this. And also, BlackRock is big, but it doesn't have a stranglehold on the economy. Like, it's not that big. Here. Yeah, like, okay, it is the world's largest asset manager with $11.6 trillion in assets, but like, there are also other asset managers that have sufficiently large amounts of capital as well. You know? You got other companies that have like 7 trillion. You got a bunch of companies here, okay? That can do that. Now, do I think BlackRock should be broken up and like their actions be made illegal? Yeah, probably. That'd be really good, actually. But yeah, BlackRock DEI, I don't think widely impacted the U.S. economy. Also, I don't know if Obama gave BlackRock large funds, except maybe in like the 2008 financial bailout. That might be possible. He literally did nothing to stop the average American from sliding into poverty over his rule. That's true. I mean, it's not necessarily true, but like a lot of the economic bailouts that happened under Obama went to corporations rather than to people, and hence we had a lot of people kicked out of their homes.
How many leftists today unironically believe that Obama is the best president in American history?
I mean, Obama's not the best president in American history, but he was the first elected African-American president, and that does matter a lot.
Well, in reality, he was pretty terrible across the board. Obama gave the left a sense of stability.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend the guy wholesale here. I also think he sucked. Especially expanding the drone war, but I notice you oddly don't have expanding the drone war on your list. I guess maybe it could fall under the Middle Eastern regimes thing.
And they had grown used to complete social dominance and that the world was guided towards their vision of progress. After Trump seized power, they had an emotional deluge. I talk about this more in the text wall in front of you, but the left went through something that looks like the 7 stages of grief. The psychological fallout due to Trump winning was enormous. If you want a sliver, just watch the SNL video that came out about it. Funnily enough, I did watch John Oliver and SNL then. This was seen as basically a
oh wow, how progressive of you.
Nuclear bomb on their myth of progress. The left went completely hysterical over pretty menial stuff Trump did or said. In retrospect,
yeah, you know, like caging children, separating families with a nonsensical and merely racist ban. Like, you literally show a picture of people protesting, arbitrarily separating families by, banning travel for no reason.
How the left treated Trump was completely inexcusable. It's kind of funny that now that I've lived in other countries around the world, the stuff Mexican or African or Southeast Asian politicians casually say is so much more tame than Trump, and no one cares in those countries.
I think they care. I just think that you don't give a shit about those countries.
Was the period the left started to diverge from reality. I remember seeing this in real time as a teenager, as I saw the left had made the conscious decision that reality didn't really exist, that facts didn't matter, and that the world
that's wild, because you aren't using any facts to back up your arguments.
Self was determined by the
writing text walls is not facts. Those are not the same thing.
experiences of the oppressed, and that power determines truth. Starting then, even as a 15-year-old, I knew that the left would go completely crazy. This, combined with the left's insane purity spiraling, means that the left started from there, couldn't help to go completely and crazy. They literally removed every single mechanism they could have used to recenter themselves from their own madness, since they got rid of all the dissenters while also removing any logical or philosophic reset mechanisms.
I'm sorry, by get rid of all the dissenters because of wokeness, are you just saying like they got rid of like conservatives who like to use the N-word? Because like that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying. Also, shout out to Minnesota. More like Winnesota. Look at this. Hate won't make America great. No Nazis here. Fuck yeah. Gotta represent my state.
I loved watching the left squirm over Kamala Harris, since I knew a decade ago that they would culminate in this. Their purity spiraling over race and sex was something they had.
What? Wait, genuinely, what do you mean? Squirm? The people on the left who were squirming over Kamala Harris weren't doing so over her race or sex.
No mechanism to stop, and thus it would eat them inside until they had to appoint a black woman as president.
A decade ago, he knew this. He was 14. Look, Gamer G, a decade ago, he was still spiritually Gandalf, okay? And he peered into the future and saw, a black woman running for president and thought to himself, all the leftists will be really upset about the fact that she's both black and a woman. And it will rip them apart, and her presidency run will fail.
It's a wonder they didn't have to make her gay as well, or trans, or disabled.
They didn't have to make her gay or trans or disabled. They were thinking about it. We were all of us leftists were together in the pitch room, and we were gonna. I picked up the baseball bat, but. Nancy Pelosi turned and said to me, "No, Jack, no. We've got to start her on double the dose of estrogen so she can pass as a woman on HRT." And then another one, Hakeem Jeffries, next to Nancy Pelosi, said, "No. Okay, we have to get photos of her kissing her new wife. Okay." And then, Kamala Harris just looked over and said, "Guys, I don't think I can do this. I think I just have to be. I think I just have to be black and a woman, and that'll be good enough." And now we're all kicking ourselves. I should have broken her kneecaps. I should have done it. She'd be in the White House now. Like, genuinely, is this what he thinks happens?
One who could barely speak publicly, who was universally disliked by both her staff and the public, and who ultimately lost them probably the most important election of the century.
Yeah, and also the closest election on record. The idea that you foresaw this happening in the closest election on record is really insane to me.
We're ultimately watching that.
And by insane to me, I mean, I don't believe it for a goddamn second that you predicted that.
Now is a movement which followed its original logic, weeding out all the dissenters, and now is short-circuiting. There's a historic event which reminds me a lot of the current left. In the early 1500s, during the Protestant Reformation, Germany was plagued by religious wars between Catholics, Protestants, and then again between different varieties of Protestant. Messianic Protestants took over the city of Munster in northwest Germany. As they became walled in by Catholic besiegers, during the siege they spiraled into complete madness, in which they started practicing polygamy, sexual communism, material communism, and mass killings, with internal civil wars. The modern left is an enormous cult, which is doing the exact same thing, which isn't.
That's odd, because I don't think you've provided any evidence to back up that enormous claim.
Really surprising, given wokeness is very clear.
For example, when I claim that Donald Trump is the leader of a cult, I show clips of people who believe Trump is like the second coming of Christ, or people who present him golden idols of himself, or like people who talk about him, God working through him to mysterious ends, even though he's flawed, or like how people like basically worship him. People were buying like portions of his suit that he was wearing during like the assassination attempt. He was selling them, and people were buying them like relics, like they were holy relics. And like again, like these are just things you can point to off the cuff, right? These are examples of that kind of cultish behavior. And yeah, there's literally the goat that was given to him in Mar-a-Lago that he put up on display that was made out of fake Trump $100 bills. Yeah. I don't know. There's no way this guy is a true believer, right? This guy is absolutely a true believer. I watched his 10-hour-long manifesto, and I can confirm he believes this shit. And not only does he believe this shit, he believes it religiously. He believes himself to be a literal messenger from the gods.
Clearly a descendant of Protestantism. COVID was another example of this incredible hysteria. The left
I'm sorry, what? Wokeism is a descendant of Protestantism? What? What? The Protestants are too woke for this guy. Are you fucking kidding?
Protestantism. COVID was another example of this incredible hysteria. The left used so much emotion over Trump 1 and COVID that they're completely burnt out. COVID was relatively tame as an illness, which
it killed 1 million Americans.
Shut down the economy, locked people down, and spent trillions of dollars to deal with. I know we all have stories from our personal life about how hysterical the left got.
It killed 1 million people
over COVID. The other thing is that with COVID, and especially so the summer of love, the left was able to gain complete institutional authority. This is important to realize since it completely changed the calculus and perception of the left. Before 2020, the left could convincingly lie that they were the downtrodden, supporting the common man. After that, in which every major institution was beyond woke, and wokeness was very clearly about complete domination of white men, with their complete removal from all public life. It was...
What? What are you talking about? Okay, just real quick, I'm gonna lay it out there. Corporations have this thing called the profit motive under capitalism. Their goal is to sell a lot of stuff to as many people as possible, right? Similarly, at that time, you had one of the largest, like, public protest movements of the era happening. And in an effort to sell people more things, businesses catered to that movement to sell them shit. This was not a concerted effort to remove white men from society. It was an effort to sell things to where the dominant ethos of society was, that to make themselves, to make their products more desirable, right? And this did not, in fact, necessitate or even result in white men being removed from public life. White men made the most money off of those marketing decisions. The white men were the ones profiting predominantly from that. But also, they weren't removed from society. They were there the entire time. A white man literally won the presidency.
It was clear that wokeness was a very powerful, suicidal, and insidious force that would kill the West unless stopped. Where does
citation needed for any of that?
this leave the internal monologue of the average leftist. Keep in mind that if you're a leftist at this point, you've been through so many filters that you're so deep into the cult. It was a decade ago when the free-thinking leftists like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Shoe on Head, Dave Rubin, Sad Gad, and all the others migrated into the rightist coalition.
Holy
Keep
shit.
in mind, the average leftist has probably never heard an honest conservative perspective in their entire lives. The thing with
Holy shit.
woke people is that as wokeness has become significantly more nihilistic, suicidal, and evil, it consumes more.
Yeah, I love, by the way, that he's just like, yeah, wokeness is nihilistic, suicidal, and evil. And meanwhile, like, you're showing a bunch of people just coming out to protest together and find solidarity with one another to protest agents of the state murdering a man for no reason. You know, like that. You understand how like the image you're choosing for this directly undermines the point you're trying to make, right? Like, if these people were nihilists or motivated by a nihilistic ideology that was both suicidal and evil, they wouldn't be protesting us state agents murdering like folks for no reason. Yeah, you know what's really nihilistic and suicidal and evil? Protesting and saying Black Lives Matter. A statement that is literally none of those things. It's the fact that it matters is not nihilist, like that counteracts the accusation of nihilism. Lives counteracts the accusation of suicidal. Evil, I think, is directly negated by the fact that all these people came together to stop the indiscriminate murders of Black men and women at the hands of state agents.
More of their minds. Back in 2015, there were loads of leftists who were functioning members of society. They wrote books, had children, served in the military, worked jobs, and all that kind of stuff. It used to be leftists were seen as good at producing culture, making food, and leftist cities were nice places to live. That's not true anymore. An interesting example of this is that in marketing and in sales, woke demographics buy vastly less than their purchasing power should entail. Upon further study, the
citation needed.
Only reason for this is that woke people were so psychologically disturbed that they just had less hobbies, interests, and bought less stuff than other demographics. Part 3. The mind.
Leftists consume less, therefore they're contributing less to society is, again, wild to me. My evidence, unnamed studies show they buy less stuff. Like, are you kidding?
Mind of a leftist. In the recent years since COVID, we've seen the left hit a real burnout. I think the left burned out and gave up.
I'm getting burnt out on this video. I'm not gonna lie.
Around 2022. Keep in mind, since the left is so psychologically feminine today, they see politics as an avenue to express extreme emotions to allay their own boredom and nihilism. This is why they're so hysterical, but the problem is that given they
yes, it's not because we're upset about the issues, it's because we need to express ourselves.
Were so hysterical for so long, they just burned out all their emotional circuits. The left lost the ability to emotionally self-regulate, comprehend their environment, or believe in anything around 2022. A great irony is that the left got burnt out right when they gained complete institutional capture by the most insane group of radical leftists. This is the worst.
Man, I wish this alternate reality was real, where like the most radical leftists gained control over all the institutions in 2022. Man, that'd be so cool. That'd be so fucking rad.
Place to be, because hopefully after you've attained institutional power, it energizes you so that you can use that power. This is the point you see leftist messaging get deranged and nihilistic for its own sake. It stopped having a real pretense about helping Black people, women, or whatever, and just veered
or whatever.
to social suicide. I actually rarely see leftist messaging that's per se about black people or women now. Instead, you start seeing the climate become a bigger motivator, given climate change offers a complete carte blanche for social suicide. Ultimately, the way you—
What? It literally caring about the planet existing is the opposite of social suicide. You realize that, right? Just on its face.
You get rid of carbon emissions is to get rid of industrial civilization and humans themselves. This was something that Jordan Peterson predicted a decade ago, that environmentalism would ultimately lead to social suicide, but I didn't believe him at the time. I am going to coin Lynch's law, stemming from my own last name.
Oh, please. Oh, please. Oh my God, it's so fucking good.
Lynch's law is that no matter how psychologically unwell you believe the left to be, they're even worse. This is a phenomena I keep finding in one way or another from all the ways I've interacted with the left.
Dog, you are like the last person on the planet who should be making this accusation. You went through a manic episode where you wrote and recorded 3 videos totaling like 10 hours in length, describing the spiritual topography of your fantasy world that you 100% believe is real. You have even referenced it in this video multiple times. You don't get to say this shit when you believe you're like the reincarnation of Odin or some shit. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that when you've literally described yourself as a prophet sent by the spirit world that I have a sound clip on my soundboard of you saying,
the spirits like to convey the message that you should mentally see me as Gandalf.
You said that unironically. I can't. I can't with this shit. I'm gonna have to tap out here. Okay? I'm tapping out here because, like, this is gonna be a 2-parter. We'll do the rest of this tomorrow. I did not think this would be. I didn't think we would spend this much time on this, okay? To be perfectly honest, I didn't think we'd be spending this much time on it, but I'm fascinated and locked in, okay? I've been going for over 6 hours, and I can't do more of this tonight. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I have taken damage. We'll complete the damage tomorrow, I assure you. There we go. End of part 1, I guess.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.